you ready? Good morning. Welcome, everyone. This week, we continue our exploration of cultivating compassion. And our hymn of the month, We Laugh, We Cry, helps us embody the theme in song. As we prepare to sing, take a moment to settle your spirit. And when you're ready, please rise and embody your spirit for our hymn, We Laugh, We Cry, verses 1 and 4. No matter your age, your size, the way you move, or the song in your heart, this is a place for you. Together we will sing, wonder, and grow in the spirit of love. I'm Reverend Joyce, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. Our worship team this morning also includes music director Tim and our choir, worship associate Sandy. Autumn, our office manager, is running tech for us today. If you are in person, do join us for coffee hour after the service. We are grateful for all the volunteers and those who brought snacks to share. If today is your first day worshiping with us, we are thrilled that you are here. Let us know who you are so that we can be in touch. Let me help.
Unmute it.
I got it. There you go.
Green lights are all. Good morning. I am Major Sandy Campbell, United States Air Force retired. My pronouns are she, her, and Major. We are worshiping in the homeland of the indigenous Ho-Chunk and Potawatomi people. We are humbled to be on this sacred ground. This land, this country, this liberal faith, and our very lives are inherited from the complicated intersection of oppression, freedom, resistance, migration, war, justice, justice-making, and hope. From these legacies, we learn, we grow, seek repair, give thanks, and build for a better world for those who will inherit our choices. We gather today and for worship. As we gather, we join in our sacred ritual. The flaming chalice is the symbol of our faith. Audrey is going to light the chalice. She's going to be a fox for Halloween. She is 8. Let us speak together the covenant of our church. Love is the spirit of this church, and reason is its guide. To dwell together in peace,
Yep, you got it.
to seek truth in freedom, and to serve human need. This is our covenant.
Nice.
Good job. Now let's sing our chalice response song.
We gather and worship together. We begin with the prayers of the people, the naming of joy and sorrow, the holding hearts of those we love. I am pleased to see some folks have returned to church after healing, and it's good to see you. We hold in our hearts all those recovering from illnesses and experiencing maladies of body or soul. May mercy and healing attend them. I invite you in this space to name those aloud or in silence who you are holding in your heart this morning. I invite you now to turn to those around you and greet. Spirit of life and love that dwells within and around us, we come together this morning just as we are, hopeful, tired, joyful, uncertain. Here, we do not need to be perfect. Here, we practice beginning again. May this time help us soften the voices of comparison and judgment. May it remind us that caring for others begins with kindness to ourselves. Together, as children, youth, and adults, may we learn what it means to rest in acceptance, to let compassion start right here in our own hearts. So may it be. Let us worship together. Thank you to those adults who are learning with our children and youth today. Rose and Veronica are with our K and under group, Lisa with the 1st through 3rd graders, Peggy and Rebecca with the 4th through 6th graders, and Art and Ashley are with our youth. We had a joyful group at our Rock Cut State Park outing last week. We heard and saw lots of birds, including a bald eagle. Our next Unite and Explore gathering for all ages is Friday, November 21st at Edgebrook Center for the holiday tree lighting. We gather at 5:30. Today in Deal Hall, there is a special box of potions for children to pick up after RE. And Autumn and her mother have created the boxes of potions, so check it out. Today, our story is The Very, Very, Very Long Dog by Julia Patton. This is Bartleby. Well, this is his bottom anyway. Here is the front end. Bartleby is a very, very, very long sausage dog who's lucky enough to live in this beautiful old bookstore. Every day, Bartleby eats breakfast whilst reading his favorite books. Then his special friends take him for his morning walk around town. Bartleby loves his home, his walks, and his friends. Life couldn't be any better. Except Bartleby is so long, he's not always quite sure where his bottom is. His walk started out great, but unfortunately, didn't always end so well. His friends tried their very best to help clean up the mess, and Bartleby had no idea. Day after day, they carefully trotted across Main Street. But his blundering backside caused a calamity. Crash, beep, 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 beep. Oh, Bartleby. They cautiously took a diversion around the construction site. But his bungling behind created even more chaos. Oh, Bartleby. One day, Bartleby's reckless rear made so much mayhem that not even his friends could fix it this time. Oh, Bartleby. Sorry, sir. Bartleby heard yelling and shouting and turned back to investigate. He would get to the bottom of this and find the culprit. Grrr. Bite. Poor Bartleby realized that it was his very own bottom that had caused all the crashing and bashing, making everyone unhappy. He ran all the way home and was so sad he didn't even read his favorite bedtime story. He still ate his dinner. He vowed never to leave the bookstore again. Bartleby's friends were heartbroken to see him so sad. They loved him just the way he was. They rummaged through all the bookshelves, searching for answers. They concocted a most marvelous plan that just might make Bartleby feel better. They created a very special gift, a gift for Bartleby to help himself. Every day, Bartleby still eats breakfast whilst reading his favorite books. His special friends still take him for his morning walk around town. But now, Bartleby is absolutely sure where his bottom is. Oh, Bartleby. As our children let their light shine in religious education, we bless them on their way with love. Let's sing the first verse of This Little Light of Mine. I hope that you're subscribed to the Kairos, our weekly newsletter. Please be sure to read it for updates about upcoming events and activities. This week, I want to highlight our auction. It's time to fall for you. Our annual auction is on the horizon, Saturday, November 15th, and this year's celebration promises laughter, connection, and a good dose of friendly bidding fun. Your creativity fuels this event. You can offer meals, music, handmade treasures, game nights, garden tours. Church groups and teams are invited to create an auction item together because offering helps build the life of our community. So jump in and add your items or experiences to the auction site by November 2nd. You can also complete the auction forms that are in the narthex today. The sooner you sign up, the more time we will have to dream, browse, and bid. So please get creative and add your item to the auction. Each month, we'll be highlighting the activities of one of our Faith in Action teams. For October, this is our Sex and Gender Justice team. So I want to invite Rich to come forward to tell you about what they are doing.
And my pronouns are he and they. I'm a member of the Sex and Gender Justice Committee, and we are meeting today in the workroom of the office, and we'll be starting 10 minutes after the service ends. I'd like to highlight one of our activities coming up this week. Has anyone heard of the UU Women's Federation? A few heads. Well, when we joined the church, there used to be two groups, the women's group and the men's group, that had a lot of activities and did a lot of interesting things. I think somewhere in the gender evolution, we started thinking, is that what we should be doing? And the UUWF was started to help congregations work through these issues, because even Unitarians don't always get gender straight. Whoops. So, in the Kairos, there is a link to a online meeting on the 30th of this month at 6 o'clock. Please join us. We were one of the first churches that signed up for this process. Now, we take up an offering to support the work of justice and mercy in the community. 80% of what's collected today will go to Remedies Renewing Life, which is a resource for people dealing with domestic violence. Thank you for your generosity. The offering will be given and gratefully received.
Is the mic, is it on? Western culture places great emphasis on being kind to our friends, family, and neighbors who are struggling. Not so when it comes to ourselves. When we make a mistake or fail in some way, we're more likely to hit ourselves over the head with a club than put a supportive arm around our own shoulder. Most likely, even the thought of comforting ourselves in this way seems absurd. And even when our problems stem from forces beyond our control, self-kindness is not a culturally valued response. Somewhere along the line, we get the message that strong individuals should be stoic and silent toward their own suffering, like John Wayne in a Western. Unfortunately, these attitudes rob us of one of our most powerful coping mechanisms when dealing with the difficulties of life. Self-kindness, by definition, means that we stop the constant self-judgment and disparaging internal commentary that most of us have come to see as normal. It requires us to understand our foibles and failures instead of condemning them. It entails clearly seeing the extent to which we harm ourselves through relentless self-criticism and ending our internal war. But self-kindness involves more than merely stopping self-judgment. It involves actively comforting ourselves, responding just as we would to a dear friend in need. It means we allow ourselves to be emotionally moved by our own pain, stopping to say, "This is really difficult right now. How can I care and comfort myself in this moment?" With self-kindness, we soothe and calm our troubled minds. We make a peace offering of warmth, gentleness, and sympathy from ourselves to ourselves so that true healing can occur. And if our pain is caused by a misstep we have made, this is precisely the time to give ourselves compassion. I remember once during high school, I went on a first date with a boy I had a huge crush on. I had a slight cold, but I didn't think much about it. At one point, while I was talking and laughing, trying to impress him with how clever and funny I was, he looked at me sideways and raised his eyebrows. I paused, wondering what was the matter. "Nice snot bubble," he said. The shame and humiliation floored me for weeks. I felt totally lame and told myself so over and over again. I wish I knew then what I know now. Rather than relentlessly cutting ourselves down when we fail or fall, even if it is a spectacular one, we do have another option. We can recognize that everyone has times when they blow it and treat ourselves kindly. Maybe we weren't able to put our best foot forward, but we tried. And falling flat on one's face is an inevitable part of life, an honorable part, in fact. Our second reading. To become fully human means learning to turn my gratitude for being alive into concrete common good. It means growing gentler toward human weakness. It means practicing forgiveness of me and everyone else's hourly failures to live up to the divine standards. It means learning to forget myself on a regular basis in order to attend to the other selves in my vicinity. It means living so that I am only human does not become an excuse for anything. It means receiving the human condition as blessing and not curse in all its achingly frail and redemptive reality.
When did this happen? The anger, the aggression, judgment, criticism, fear, sadness, anxiety? These were just my thoughts as I was walking up to the podium. I was thinking, I'm not the right person to be here. You're not ready for this. Surely there's someone else who is better qualified. What will they think of me? I should have called in sick. Yikes, this is scary. It's taken a long time for me to realize that negative self-talk is not helpful. The pandemic seemed to have intensified the negative messages. So much was at stake, and there was so little trust for myself or others. People did get sick. People did die. People still suffer. Where was I when this happened, the pandemic? I was a president of a condominium association of 144 units. How many people can be in the elevator? Did we wipe down all the railings? How many can use the pool, if any? No congregating in common areas. No monthly condominium meetings. How are we going to manage the annual election? How many are sick? Did I stand too close to someone who tested positive? I personally made over 500 face masks before they were predominantly available to help people. But there was still that no. What do I do now to stop that critical voice over from what I've called significant life events or a misstep? I challenge that fear and isolation. Start telling myself, I'm okay, trust myself and others. I'm really doing the best I can, and most people are. What's my choice today but to forgive myself for the things I didn't do, love myself for the things I did do? Our Soul Matters lesson this month helps us put things in perspective. To be gentle with yourself and change how I am with me. Forgive myself for mistakes. Allow myself a day with no to-dos. Celebrate the wins. Notice the self-talk. Would you speak cruelly to a child or self-critical? And stop multitasking. Eat lunch. Don't bring your phone to lunch. In closing, my 5-year-old granddaughter has this in spades, how to be kind to yourself. She plays till she drops, and she tells me, "Oh no, Grandma, you'll hurt yourself." And I love you. And we hold hands.
Thank you. Please rise and bow to your spirit for our hymn, Blessed Spirit of My Life. I invite you now to join me in a time of prayer and meditation, a time to breathe together, to rest in the turning of the world, and to honor both what is passing and what is coming to be. Let us settle into quiet together. As the light shifts and the air grows restless, we pause in this in-between time where one season releases its hold and another begins to breathe. We are reminded that change is the only constant, and transformation the language of life itself. The trees do not resist their letting go. They surrender with color and grace, teaching us that there is beauty in every kind of turning: the sprouting, the blossoming, the letting go, the waiting. May this season turn us, too, gently toward what is next. May we honor what is passing and welcome what is still unknown. As we breathe together, may we feel the rhythm that holds all things: this earth, our bodies, our community, each one part of the same unfolding pattern of renewal. May we carry that rhythm forward, steady and open-hearted, trusting the change that carries us all. Amen, and blessed be. In that beautiful anthem, we're reminded that Hillel's teaching still speaks across the centuries. If I am not for myself, who will be for me? But if I am only for myself, what am I? And if not now, when? Those words hold a deep truth that caring for ourselves and caring for others are never opposing calls, but the same sacred task. One cannot live without the other. We gather this morning, hearts full, minds busy, to rest, if only for a while, in this sacred pause we call community. This week has carried us here, some running, some stumbling through the days, some worn thin by the living of it all. Hillel's words ask us to hold a delicate balance, to love ourselves enough to act, and to love others enough to act with care. That same balance lives within self-compassion, the meeting place between self-care and shared care, between tending our own wounds and reaching out to tend to the wounds of others. So often we try to meet life's demands with strength, resolve, and endless doing. But what happens when the voice that drives us onward becomes the one that hurts us most? When kindness is the one thing we forget to offer ourselves. Self-compassion is not indulgence. It is a quiet remembering that we too are worthy of gentleness, that our hearts need tending in the same way that the earth needs rain. And yet, we still ask ourselves, is this enough? Am I changing fast enough? Healing deeply enough? Or are we, without noticing, asking ourselves to change in ways that would wound instead of heal? Sometimes the voice of toxic change creeps in disguised as self-improvement. It whispers questions that sound thoughtful, but leave us feeling small. A 2025 study from the National Science Foundation found that nearly 80% of our daily thoughts are negative, and about 95% are repetitive. It seems that most of the time, we are not thinking, we are rethinking, rehearing the same worn questions that rarely lead us toward healing. I have a friend named Della who once, when I was retelling a moment where I thought I'd made a mistake, Della said, "Joyce, you have one more time to repeat that story and then let it go." I needed that because continuing to repeat the story was not helpful. Her words helped me recognize that. Della's honesty jolted me awake in the kindest way. It reminded me how often we cling to our hurts by retelling them again and again, hoping that somewhere inside the story lies the meaning. But sometimes the stories we repeat aren't seeking healing at all. They're holding us in place. They're keeping us stuck. And that's when another familiar story begins to whisper, one that starts with a question we all know too well. Why me? At first, it feels like a plea for understanding, but it turns the gaze only inward, seeing the self as a victim, not as a participant in life's wider unfolding. Yet even this question can teach us something. Perhaps it's a messenger asking us to grow our awareness, to stretch our compassion a little further beyond our immediate pain. Then there are the questions that cut deeper. Why am I so stupid? What's wrong with me? Why am I even trying? Each of these arises from a tender wound, that quiet fear that we are not enough. And yet, awareness itself is a doorway to healing. If you find yourself asking these questions, pause. Take one slow breath. Let the question soften in your hands. It does not need to be answered right away. Sometimes the most loving thing we can do is to notice what we're asking and to choose instead to speak to ourselves with patience and care. Change, real change, does not come from punishment. It blooms from kindness. It begins when we stop demanding perfection and start listening to the person within who has always been worthy of grace. When we notice the tone of our inner voice, we begin the quiet work of compassion. For self-compassion is not a single act, a one and done, but a daily tending, a practice of remembering what it means to be human. So we start with awareness. We listen to the words that we whisper to ourselves in moments of fatigue or disappointment. Are those words ones we would ever speak to a close friend we care about and want to keep seeing? If not, then perhaps we can begin again to soften the edges, to speak in a way that heals instead of harms. Self-compassion may sound like a soft topic, a gentle balm for a weary soul, but I propose that it is perhaps the most radical, ethical, and challenging spiritual practice we can undertake. Why? Because it demands that we lay aside the armor of perfection, that we meet the world without pretense, and that we honor our shared humanity, even when it feels easier to turn away. As Barbara Brown Taylor writes in our reading this morning, it means living so that I'm only human does not become an excuse for anything. It means receiving the human condition as blessing and not curse in all its achingly frail and redemptive reality. Self-compassion grows in the act of choosing kindness when the old voices of criticism return. It stands firm in moments of failure and whispers, "You are enough. Try again." Self-compassion is the necessary foundation for truly living our shared principles and values. Without it, we risk becoming bitter and hard. With it, loving kindness becomes a way of being. It is the soil from which ethical living can flourish. For until we care for our inner landscape, we cannot fully bring compassion into the world around us. And when I see people who are hard on others, quick to judge or slow to forgive, I can't help but wonder, how hard must they be on themselves? How heavy the expectations they carry before they even speak a word. That realization softens my own spirit. It reminds me that healing the world often begins by tending the bruises we hide inside. That awareness invites us to begin where we are, to offer ourselves the same patience and softness we wish others would learn to give. Let me tell you a story and see if you recognize yourself in this scenario. Lori was rushing one morning, late for work, distracted, short-tempered. Her partner asked an innocent question, and she snapped, letting her temper flare and shouting harsh words. Then silence came, the kind that stings. In the past, Lori would have gone straight to shame. "I'm terrible. I ruin everything." That old soundtrack of self-judgment would have played on repeat. But that day, she caught herself. She stopped, took a breath, and said softly, "I'm sorry. I'm tired and anxious, and I took it out on you." Then she added, almost whispering, "I'm trying to be kinder, even to myself." Her partner's shoulders softened. A small, almost surprised smile appeared. "I know, me too." That moment, so gentle, so human, wasn't about perfect behavior. It was about choosing compassion over condemnation. Lori turned an argument into understanding and connection by choosing compassion for herself and her partner. This is what self-compassion can do. It lets us see beyond the surface of our reactions. It transforms guilt into growth. It invites us to meet others where they are because we have learned to meet ourselves where we are. Sometimes the practice of compassion looks like taking a deep breath before answering that one more request. Sometimes the practice of self-compassion looks like rest. It's putting the to-do list down, allowing your body to speak what your mind keeps ignoring. It's choosing stillness without apology. I once heard a therapist say, "The world would be a gentler place if more of us simply got a good night's sleep." And maybe she's right, because rest softens us, making room for patience, for laughter that comes easy again, for kindness that isn't forced. When we rest, we remember that we are not machines for producing worth. We are living beings, souls and cells intertwined. And sometimes the holiest thing we can do is lie down, breathe, and let grace restore what life has worn thin. Releasing the endless urge to prove and remembering that presence itself is a sacred offering. Self-compassion strengthens connection. When we turn understanding inward, it expands outward in waves. The more gently we hold our own pain, the more tenderly we respond to the pain of others. This is how healing ripples through community and how, step by step, we live the promise of our faith. What might change if we let self-compassion become a quiet rhythm, a steady, courageous practice of honesty and care? Step by step, breath by breath, we can learn to walk with ourselves as we would walk beside someone we love. We might transform self-talk, not to deny it, but to meet it with love. Then we can plant new seeds, a phrase of kindness, a breath of gratitude, a moment of forgiveness. We learn to say, "I am doing my best. This moment is enough. I am worthy of care." Like any garden, this one requires tending, pulling the weeds of harshness, watering the soil of patience, and turning our faces toward the light. In time, our inner voice begins to soften. It becomes less of a critic and more of a companion. It learns to walk beside us rather than ahead of us, and to whisper, "You are whole, you are beloved, you are home." In the end, self-compassion is not only about easing our pain, it's about strengthening our capacity to act with love. It shapes the way we show up in family, in community, and in the work of justice that calls us forward. How can we nurture our community and our work with energy and truth if we are endlessly harsh with our own souls? A volunteer at a food pantry arrived at the distribution site feeling irritable and downhearted. She'd had a rough week, doubting her usefulness, asking all those inner questions we've spoken about. What's wrong with me? Why can't I get this right? She smiled for appearance's sake, but felt hollow inside. Then, in line, a neighbor she often served noticed and said quietly, "You look tired. Are you okay?" Something broke open for once. She didn't put on the brave mask. She simply said, "I'm tired." Her neighbor nodded, and instead of taking the usual bag of food, he handed her a cup of tea that he had brought for someone else. I figured we could both use some warmth. This simple exchange wasn't charity, it was communion, a moment born from honesty rather than performance. Her willingness to meet herself with compassion opened space for another's compassion to meet her too. This is the mystery. Self-compassion radiates. It softens the invisible barrier between helper and helped, between strong and struggling. It builds a community grounded not in perfection, but in truth and shared community. A heart weighed down by unhealed shame often turns its ache outward into judgment. A spirit denied grace will struggle to offer grace to the stranger. When we practice self-compassion, we tend to the wounds within so that peace can flow outward. We become bridges, stronger, humbler, linking the world as it is to the world we still dream into being. Our gentleness becomes action, our self-understanding becomes service, and our small, steady care for ourselves becomes a wider care that sustains our world. And when the old questions return, because they will, the why me, what's wrong with me, am I doing enough? May we pause long enough to answer with grace. All of me belongs here. All of me is learning. May you, my friends, have the courage to treat yourselves with the same fierce love you so freely extend to others. May that radical kindness begin with you. Blessed be, and amen. Please rise and body your spirit for our closing hymn, There's a River Flowing in My Soul. Sandy will extinguish our chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry with us until we are together again. While she does that, I invite you to join hands for our benedictions. If you'd rather not be touched, place your hands in your pockets or on your shoulders. Let us receive these closing words from the Irish poet and priest John O'Donoghue as a reminder that the sacred begins here, within the quiet of our own hearts. May you awaken to the mystery of being here and enter the quiet immensity of your own presence. May you have joy and peace in the temple of your senses. May you find serenity in the one you are. Go in love, move gently through the world, and may compassion, beginning within you, transform everything it touches. Now let us sing our closing blessing.